Alright, the video hasn't even started yet, and already I have a major problem with it. No one tells anti-sleeper to go to sleep.
Even the term political correctness at this point I feel like has been compromised, has been diluted, and means different things to different people in a way that's like counterproductive. I would vote to retire the term entirely.
Do you think any words that don't have a universally agreed upon definition need to be retired? Because you're going to have a very short list of words to work with if that's the case. I don't think you want the phrase retired because it has an inconsistent definition, or that it fails to communicate the speaker's desired intent. Rather, I think you want the phrase retired because it communicates a sentiment you disapprove of. In essence, you're going to make the case that the phrase politically correct is politically incorrect.
I guess where I fall is, on one hand, if you are whining about the way that political correctness and some culture of respect prevents you from being an asshole, then you're an asshole.
I am an asshole, and I want you to have the right to call me an asshole. Preferably, I'd like you to be able to call me an asshole without fear of social ostracization or financial repercussions. Now, when you call me, or anyone else who doesn't agree with political correctness, an asshole, you are not extending us respect. And you shouldn't have to. Respect is not something that should be granted automatically. Respect should be earned. What I extend to people automatically is dignity. Dignity refers to the state of having worth or value, whereas respect is admiration for a quality. I can think you have no redeeming qualities and still find you of value by sake of merely being a person, and people are things I value. But I shouldn't need to grant you respect. I don't believe there are any qualities I am required to admire about a person.
If the political correctness of the world stops you, impinges your freedom of speech, and prevents you from being misogynistic, homophobic, racist, then fuck you, basically. I guess that's ultimately where I fall on it.
No amount of language policing will prevent someone from being misogynistic, homophobic, or racist. Those describe a person's attitudes towards certain groups, and have nothing to do with whether or not they express those sentiments, which is what political correctness seeks to address. If you go out of your way to impede the speech of racists, sexists, and homophobes, you do not stop them from being racist, sexist, or homophobic. What you do is further entrench them into their beliefs and drive them underground. You make the things you've identified as problems harder to combat. Aside from being ineffective, how did you come to the conclusion that racism, sexism, and homophobia were the things we needed to stifle? Who decides what are the okay thoughts to express? You may think it to be you, which it's not. But even if it were you, it's not always going to be you.
I don't really know any artists, any creative folks who feel like some restrictive culture is preventing them from doing their art. The people I see are flourishing in this space.
Hi there, I'm Count Dankula. I'm the guy that got arrested and charged with hate crime for teaching his girlfriend's dog to Nazi salute as a joke. I still have a hate crime charge pending against me, and I am currently waiting on my court date so that I can go to court and begin my trial.
That Wait. Why is it doing that?
We have to start censoring the show. They just keep flagging us for hate speech. So, what do you want me to do?
No. So this show just got here? Hold on. I can't even say anymore? Oh, God. Dog-eating, AIDS-infested sand.
Jesus, dude!
Holy shit.
By now you might have seen that this video
Everything is racist
was deleted by YouTube. Guess what it was deleted for? Ready? Okay, is everybody sitting down? Hate speech.
A comedian called Mike Ward had to defend his style of humor in front of a human rights tribunal. Why? Because a complaint was made in 2012 when he cracked some jokes about a kid with a fucked up face who sang for the Pope one time. And now that kid, who's now 19, wants an apology. In cash. The Toronto Star has reported that the boy and his parents are seeking 80 grand in damages on the grounds that Mike Ward's jokes violated Jeremy's dignity, honor, and reputation.
If only artists had the luxury of merely feeling restricted, that would be great. Unfortunately, they are actively restricted, and that you don't see this happening leads me to think you're not looking very hard.
I think respect is important. I think calling people by the words and the names and the pronouns that they choose for themselves is critical. There's no reason in any sense to do otherwise that I can think of.
That you can think of. You want my speech to be as limited as your thoughts. I don't think it important to refer to people by their preferred labels, nor do I even think doing so is a sign of respect. I refer to people by what I think best describes them. Labels serve a practical purpose, that being communication. If an other can identify as a raindrop, I am not going to refer to him as or identify him as a raindrop, unless he's really convincing.
But I feel like the term itself, as far back as the 90s, was being bandied about in this spirit of mockery. And, I remember books being published like, the politically correct handbook, and, just taking it to a level of absurdity.
Perhaps mockery of the concept is not what is absurd. Perhaps the concept is absurd.
People of various marginalized, discriminated against groups were claiming ownership of the words used to describe them was taken and satirized and made absurd by the right. A group of people who are not known for their sense of humor.
As opposed to censors and the politically correct, who are well known for their humor. Nothing says humorous like, this word is mine, I claim ownership of it. You don't get to use it, bigot.
And, it became kind of a battering ram. Like, we can't say blah, blah, blah. And people, you can't say short anymore. You have to say vertically challenged, And it was very deliberate. I mean, it was part of the war around language, which is a very critical part of political discourse. The control of terminology is really, really important in the way that people's views are shaped.
There's nothing wrong with language control. The only problem is the wrong people are controlling language. But you can trust me, I'm one of the right people. Trust me, Daddy Anti knows what's best.
And it's something that the right has had a lock on, surprisingly, for a pretty long time. Pro-life sounds good, but isn't. But the way that the words and the phrases and the terminology shape the debate is really critical.
I'm sure if you could, you would have everyone refer to pro-life as anti-choice, just like I'm sure there are people on the right who would like to refer to pro-choice as pro-baby murder. Pro-life being a palatable-sounding phrase is only a problem to you because you've entered the conversation with the position that abortion is a net benefit to society. Your political opponents disagree. Let's focus the debate on that.
So, the term in my mind goes back to that. And yeah, at this point I think we should probably